Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Family Matters. My name is Purity Museo, and tonight our focus of discussion is adolescence, and we narrow this conversation down to girl child, how an adolescent girl child should be taken care of. According to the World Health Organization, there are about 1.2 billion adolescents currently around the world. It is really a great population, and from the same report, over a quarter of many nations' populations are dominated by adolescents. It is a very delicate and special group of young people, and of course there are some of the physical, psychological and social changes that occur in the life of an adolescent, and those are the ones that we are trying to address tonight. And if they are not addressed, what are the implications? What are some of the programs that need to be put in place to just ensure the adolescents, especially health of them, are taken care of? That conversation will be made a success by my special guest here in studio, and from my far end is Anyango, who is the founding director at POLYCOM. It is an initiative that actually looks at reproductive health, but focusing on reproductive health rights for adolescents. Welcome to the show, Anyango. Thank you so much for your time. And then the lady at the middle, she is the 19-year-old I was talking about, Hilda Akinyi, an adolescent. She will be telling us some of the challenges she's been going through as an adolescent and what she wished she knew before getting into this stage. And then next to me is the lovely Yvonne Irene, who just completed her KCPE examinations this year. She is also 14-year-old, and she'll be telling us what are some of the challenges as well she faced when she first found out some of the issues or changes were happening in her body. Jen, let me begin with you. Maybe when we talk about an adolescent, should we be defining it in terms of age bracket, or to what exactly do we mean by adolescent age?
Yeah, thank you so much, Purity. Mostly when we are talking about adolescent, in normal conversation, we look at the age. But now that our children are growing very fast, it's good for us to look at the features as well. Because when we are talking about adolescence, we are talking about the age between 9 and 19. But nowadays, you find that, you know, a girl at the age of 7 has some features that shows that she's a big girl. So I think we should change the narrative
from age
to what we are able to see.
So what are these features that qualify one to being put in the bracket of an adolescent?
The most visible thing that everyone sees are the breasts. When the breast starts coming out, so that is when we, you know, when they start developing breasts, then we should know that this girl is actually growing. That is the most physical one that we can all see. But as usual, when we are talking about adolescent girls, we are talking about the soft voice, we are talking about the pubic hair, we are talking about menses. We have a lot of things that we talk about. Yes, and still change of attitude. Behavior.
So before I speak with the lovely adolescents that we have here, maybe you are, when for example, should parents or guardians be preparing themselves to, you know, dealing with now adolescents, or should we have some changes when it comes to preparations for now dealing with our children when they get into the adolescent age?
I think parents should really prepare themselves for this. The moment you have your baby, you know that they are going to grow. So as we start seeing the features, we should learn to organize ourselves psychologically to accept these girls, or maybe the children, because the change to them, the change is not normal to them. So as parents, we should also learn to support them, because it's a very confusing stage, that if they're not supported, then it becomes very, very tough for them. So parents should organize themselves and learn to accept and support the adolescents as they change.
Hilda, Jen has talked about a few characteristics or the first signs, especially for a girl when she's getting into the adolescent age. There was the issue of breasts, pubic hair, and of course menstruation. Maybe which was your first sign of an adolescent age, and how was your reaction like? Like, how did you, were you somehow confused? Were you prepared for all these changes within your body, or what exactly happened?
Like for me, the first appearance was breast when I was still in primary. So by that time, I was really shy because I did not want someone to see my breast.
So you used to kind of hide them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought I'm still young. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, but menstruation, I was aware of it
Yeah.
because my mom had told me before. She told me to be aware, you are a girl and now you are in standard 7 and just expect it from today onwards. Because I remember we were given the sanitary towels in school, but by that time I was in class 5. So she told me that, she taught me how to use it, though I was not, I did not start by that time, so at least I was aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was aware of the menstruation and how to use the sanitary towels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you started experiencing these body changes, did you become curious and ask your mom, or who were you close with at that particular point? And did you get some explanations, or did you know much about it?
For me, I wasn't
Yeah.
close to anyone. I was just alone.
Okay.
Because I thought when I asked my mom, she would tell me, but I was really shy to ask. So I decided to be my own.
Yeah. All right. So you kept on hiding it. We'll continue from there.
Yeah.
And then how about for you, Yvonne? What was your first experience as an adolescent?
Oh, my first experience was I started with menstruation.
Yeah.
Oh, that day I was at sport in school. So I suddenly felt something and I went to the toilet. I was shocked, but I did not tell anyone. I just moved out. And one of my friends noticed that, and that time I was in standard 6. So my friend was in standard 8 and took me to the toilet, showed me how to wear sanitary pad, and I was afraid to tell my mom because I knew that my mom will start treating me like an adult, and I knew that I was still a child.
Yeah.
So I was afraid. That's why I did not tell my mom, and I hid it until I was in standard 7.
That's when you told her.
Yes. No, I did not tell my mom. She noticed. She noticed the way I have changed. One day I remember that she saw one of my underneath.
Yeah.
And when my mom saw it, she asked me, and I answered him, and that is how she knew.
Yeah. So for a whole year, she did not find out what was happening in your life.
Yes, because it was not coming frequently.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was missing like 3 months.
Yeah.
It was skipping.
Yeah.
So it was hard for my mom to notice it.
Yeah. All right, let me stay with you. And then because you did not tell your mom, it was, so for you, the mentor that you had at that particular point was this class 8 friend.
Yes.
She took you through how to use, helped you with the sanitary towels until you were in class 7 and your mom found out. So what happened after your mom found out? Did she now start maybe sit you down and tell you this is what is some of the changes you experienced? What exactly happened?
No, she did not do anything because there were mentors who were coming on our school and they taught us of everything, like when we were in standard 7. Or if I was in standard 6 and the mentor said came, I could have knew and I could not be shy because I could have known that that is normal thing. I could have told my mom earlier, but they came when I was in standard 7, so I was not afraid.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. How about you, Akinyi? You said that for you, your first sign was not a menstruation, but then you also mentioned that you already had an idea what this was. So maybe tell us when it happened and who was in your circle at that particular point.
When I started my menstruation,
Yes.
I remember I started in class 7, and by that I didn't, for the first time I didn't tell my mom that I'm on my menses. So she saw it because I was in rural area in up country.
Yeah.
So you know how the bathrooms are, they're just built outside. So after showering, I forgot to wash the panty. I just left it there.
Ah, okay.
So when she came, to shower, and she asked me, "You've started your menses and you didn't tell me," and I just kept quiet. So she just took me through.
Yeah.
Yeah, she told me not to be afraid and now to stay out from boys.
Okay, so these two girls that we are having here are just like a representation of the many girls out here, and they have both said they hid it from their, let's say, parents, but they first did not hear this information about body changes during adolescence from their parents. You know, what exactly should parents be telling their, especially girls, when they are growing up, because they were not completely aware on what to expect clearly?
Yeah, parents, especially mothers, should find time with their girls, and they should talk about these things. You know, they're both girls. You know, the girl talk. So it should start as early as possible. You know, we have so many issues. We have issues around sexual violence or sexual harassment. So if we don't start conversations, you know, just those girls' conversations, the boundaries, the good touches and bad touches, then we can't get you know, anywhere with our girls. So we should always start these conversations as early as possible. We should tell the girls, you know, now that you're growing, this is what is going to happen. You know, when the breast starts developing, they're going to be a little painful. So it's normal, you should not worry. Otherwise, if we don't talk to our girls, then they live with a lot of confusions.
Yeah.
Because the things that are so normal end up troubling them so much and taking away their concentration.
And what are some of these confusion when you started developing your breast and then your menses have come? What are some of these, you know, confusions that you are really going through as an adolescent? What did you miss? What did you wish you knew? What kind of information were you longing for, and where did you get this information from?
Like for me, the confusion I had was about boys.
Yeah.
Like by that time, I saw boys were started following me.
Yeah.
And now I saw that I'm now growing to become a mature girl.
Yeah.
And I remember just what my mom told me about staying away from men. So that's what was always on my mind. And I can't say I come from a rich family. Like my mom was she was a business lady.
Yeah.
And sometimes she couldn't have all the money to buy all my expectation or what I wanted. So sometimes I wish I see my friends with new shoes, and you know, you are in upper country. She's in new shoes, she's in new clothes. When I go tell my mom I need this, she'll tell me I don't have money. So sometimes I was just finding myself crying. Why is it us? Why is it me? I don't have all these that other girls don't have. Because I saw that now I am big, and I should now start putting on nice clothes and to be smart.
Right. How about you, Yvonne? Did you behave the same? Like you now want to be like a girl? You want to go to salon? What were your maybe changes or physical changes like, or even social changes like?
Oh, me, I could get sad easily and even be happy easily. So like in a situation where I miss even lunch, I could cry. I could cry the whole day because of just missing lunch. I did not understand the situation at home because sometimes there is no money, so you cannot afford lunch. But an adolescent girl needs enough food.
So why are you saying that?
Because the girl is still growing and the girl is still maturing, so the girl needs much food. So I could cry.
For you needed a lot of food. You just wanted to eat
even
alone.
now.
Yes, I had appetite. So I was just crying all the time, and when the breast appeared, I was just wearing my sweater on. I did not want anyone to notice, but I came and got along with it.
Yeah. All right, interesting there. Jen, allow me to ask you, like, some of these processes that girls maybe should know because they don't know. Like, they share the same story, maybe even with me. You know, girls, should we also encourage girls to be speaking out what they are feeling like to their guardians? Should it be the other way around? And then now, because their body changes, for her, she wanted to be all smart all along, all day long. She wants to get this new shoe, you know. Should parents be adjusting or even giving in to the demands of their adolescent girls and they are growing up? Or how should the balance be like, you know?
Initially, we talked about conversations with our adolescent girls. So when we are talking with adolescent girls, they are able to understand the situation. But if you don't talk to them, then they don't really understand the situation, and that is where the confusion comes. Because, you know, they see everything out there, and the urge is there. They want to look smart. Some want to eat a lot. So it's about having the conversation, because if they are able to understand the situation, if they are able to understand the situation of their home, then they should adjust and understand that they have to live with that. But if it is not explained to them, then they think that it's, you know, life is unfair to them, or maybe they are not loved. One time, this young girl told me that, you know what, in our home, they budget for everything, including the cockroaches in the home every month. They buy Doom every month, but nobody buys for me sanitary towels. So, and maybe the parents, maybe they are not even aware of the unfairness. So I think the conversations should start from whichever way. If the girl is empowered enough to start the conversation, so long as she understands when to communicate, when to start the conversation. Because at times they start conversations when the parents are not ready. Or maybe after a small fight, then they're like, you know, you've not even bought for me sanitary towels. Hata hujaninunulia sanitary towel. You know, they don't know that such conversations should happen when people are, you know, when people are just being girls. You know, when she's removing dandruff on your hair or helping you make your nail, then the conversations can come out very easily. Still, for mothers, they should try as much as possible to get that time to be able to talk to their girls, to understand them, and that is also a space where the girls should be able also to understand their parents. So it's two-way. And at times it's hard, especially with the girls when they don't have people to mentor them, and that is where we come in as an organization. So the way we are structured as an organization is that we have young women or older adolescents mentoring younger adolescents. So, you know, if Hilda is mentoring Yvonne, they can talk about everything, because the challenges she's going through right now, she just went through them. So they are able to understand each other. So it's like sister talk. And now it gets only to mom when it has to get to mom. So we should have those platforms as early as possible. The moment a child is able to differentiate good from bad, the conversations should start.
And Akinyi, just before I ask you what are some of the things you wished you knew before you became an adolescent, tell us some, because you're still one, what are some of the things that you are, as much as you said you knew about menstruation and all that, but what are some of the issues that you are still struggling with, or you're finding difficult to either have or even put up with as an adolescent?
Like for me, what I wished I could have known before, before I joined POLYCOM, because now I am a mentor, I didn't know the signs of menstruation at all. I was just waiting for my day to come. And for now, I'm very sure I know all of them. So
not knowing or able to tell when to expect your menses, how did it affect you maybe?
For me,
it used to get you off guard, and then how did it affect you?
Yeah, it used to get me off guard sometimes. My days are not regular. So you just, when I see that I'm already in the new month, I'm just waiting for it.
All right. And how about you? What are some of the things that you wished you knew before getting to where you are now?
The things I wish that I knew is that of being taught on the adolescent girls, being taught on the changes that happens to them, it's normal. If I could knew that a long time ago, I could have told my parents all along, but there is a situation where a parent lies to the child. The parents say that a baby comes from an aeroplane.
Why you tell like that?
Yes, so the child grows up knowing that a baby comes from an aeroplane. So it reaches a situation where the child engages in bad behaviors and end up getting pregnant because the child was not told earlier that the baby does not come from an aeroplane, while the baby comes from the interaction of female and male sex cells.
Yeah.
Yes. So if they are told earlier, they could know.
Okay, that's interesting actually. And then thank God you did not make any mistake as much as you didn't know.
She's still in the within the bracket.
Yeah.
So she should make sure.
At least you know.
You should not make that mistake.
Yeah, please don't. But then, so what are some of the things that you are, just before you joined the program, that you've been struggling with, you know, because you, yeah, as a girl who just concluded her KCPE exams?
Oh, the things that I have been struggling with is knowing my days of menstruation. Like they keep, like it stays for 1 month, and then so I don't understand the exact day.
Up to now.
Up to now.
Yeah. What could be the cause of that? Because she's still young. Yeah.
You know, things do happen.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's not just able to count her days well. So we cannot say that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because if she's able to track, if she has a calendar, she's able to track like her cycle well, then she can say that there's a problem. You know, maybe her cycle is shorter.
Yeah.
And if it's shorter, it means that, or maybe it's longer, so meaning it can take longer than she expects. So before she tracks her periods, her cycle, she's not able to say that there is a problem. Yeah.
Okay. And now, maybe you can now tell us some of the challenges from what your interaction with the adolescents. What are some, and then they have both mentioned the inability to monitor their cycle. Should girls be, because it really messes girls' lives, honestly. You find yourself, you're on your menses, and then you don't even have the sanitary towels with you. Yeah. So should girls be taught, and how are you able to know or even monitor your menstruation period?
Yeah, big girls should always have that one spare pad. Especially the ones whose menses are not regular, because you don't want accidents, you know. Yeah, and you know the thing is, the moment they start expecting their periods when they are not sure, then they can't concentrate on anything. That is all that they are thinking of. So it's always advisable for girls to be able to have at least one pad, walk around with a pad, and still the conversations. When girls are alone, these common things that affect girls, it's important that they talk about them, because when they talk about them, the experiences are different, and they're able to support each other. Others are also able to learn from each other, know that, you know, it's not my case is not unique. This is something that is happening to everyone. And they should also try to talk to people who are older than them. Girls should always identify a friend, a mentor, whether it's mom or it's auntie or it's who. They should identify that positive mentor whom they can walk through with in everything.
Yeah.
Because we also have a lot of harassments, you know, just like Hilda mentioned before, is that, you know, as they grow into adolescence, they start becoming beautiful and they're attracted to the opposite sex. So it's very important for them to be able to share so that they are advised effectively. What I've learned again about girls is that, you know, they also feel excited when people are coming after them. And if they are not careful, they end up being victims. And these are things that can be avoided if we are able to have all these conversations with them, then they're home, they're free. Something very special that people really talk about is that the moment you become a big girl, anytime you go to the hospital, they ask you your last monthly period date. And most girls feel so much offended. In fact, most of them don't even go to the hospital because of this. They're like, what do they want with me? Why are they asking me about my menses? Yeah. So that is also something that the girls should know. They should be very much aware of that they'll always be asked. It's part of the process of identifying the problem that they have.
Yeah, and what you've been trying to explain, would you say, because most people, let's say stakeholders, say that adolescent girls are really vulnerable. Maybe you can explain the vulnerability. Is it all about now they can get pregnant, or why are they a special group? Why should parents pay more attention to adolescent girls? That is number one. Let me combine this other question before I forget. When now they're having the changes, like she was saying she wanted to eat a lot. For her, she wanted to look nice. Should parents give in to those demands by adolescent girls? Because when she said no to her, she used to feel bad about it. You know, should parents also be ready financially, material-wise, when it comes to this? Or how do you engage your girl in a nice way and tell her, you see, I don't have 1, 2, 3, so that she doesn't feel bad? Or is it okay to feel bad anyway?
Yes, so Purity, now I want to answer you as a mother.
Yes.
So the thing is, you can't give them everything they want. We can't. And that is why we must start the conversation as early as possible, so that the girls are able to understand the parents, you know? Yeah. And the girls must also know that you can't get everything you want. You can't lead your ideal life when you're still depending on someone. So you can only lead your ideal life if you're able to work very hard and get a job and now take care of yourself. Like right now you can talk about living that life you want. But they are still young, they don't even have jobs, so you cannot get everything they want. And those conversations should come out in a very mild manner. They should not come out when people are fighting. So these are things that we must just get into as early as possible. Yeah. And when we get into such, at least they start living very, very happily. And then about the changes is that, you know, these changes, we have, the changes are very different. She talked about moods, where they just want to fight with everybody. So people should be able to understand. People should be able to understand the girls. Them being vulnerable, yes, we have the aspect of, you know, a pregnancy and others. But still, if we are able to equip them so that they are strong enough to take care of themselves, then they are in charge. You know, like us in our organization, our slogan is dependent. So we are training girls to learn to love themselves. When they love themselves, then they are above everything. They don't allow people to offend them, you know, easily being offended. You know, they can't, otherwise you'll find girls fighting with everybody. The teacher is bad at school. Mom is not good at home. The neighbor, you don't know, is staring at me. You know, that stage is a stage where they are so confused. They are so confused. You look at her, then, you know, why is he looking at me? You don't look at her, okay, he's ignoring me. So it's very, very, adults should be able to understand, especially people who have walked through that path should be able to understand the girls. But the girls should also be able to understand that not everything we want
that will be able to get.
So they should also learn to be as flexible as possible. They should also learn to ignore and accept. Like, you know, that is what he's doing, or that is what she's doing. I'm not going to let it affect me. So, like us, we have those rules, those personal commitments that we try to get girls to be able to read every now and then. They feel offended, and then they now feel like strengthened again.
Yeah. All right. Let's now talk about the health of adolescent girls. Let me begin with you. I know she'll be telling us why it's important to consider the health of adolescent girls, but as you're growing up as an adolescent, maybe, did you experience some of these health complications, especially that come with menstruation, some of the infections? Did you experience any of this, and how did you deal with it?
For me, but as I'm still having it, just only cramps.
Okay.
and mood swings somehow,
Yeah.
but others no.
Oh, how do you deal with that? Do you take medication?
Yeah, when I have cramps, I take painkiller and Buscopan. Yeah.
So do you talk to anyone like, this is what I'm feeling, when you are maybe not in the right mood? Do people around you understand, or what exactly happens?
They don't understand. I just find myself keeping quiet because if I talk,
Yeah.
I can end up telling you something that you're not expecting.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Yvonne?
Me, when I have cramps, I just take hot water. I put it in a plastic bottle, and then I place it at my cramps, and then I have a sleep. When I wake up, it will be
You'll all be well again. All right. So, Jane, let's address some of the health complications that come with being an adolescent. Of course, we talk about the infections that a girl may experience. You can enlighten us on that. They both talked about cramping.
Yeah, you know, the cramps are very common with the girls, not even, with the girls. And it's becoming a very serious problem. I don't know why it's so common nowadays. So it's okay, it's good to seek help. It's good to go to the doctors. And if you're able to exercise, by the way, listen to Yvonne, at least she has her way. And they also say that a lot of exercises, if they're able to do a lot of exercises, then they are able to get relief. And then we have infections. The girls, they are supposed to be very as hygienic as possible, especially during their menses, and not just their menses, you know. And those are the vulnerabilities that you're talking about. The girls are delicate. So they should have the right panties, like we're talking about cotton panties. They should be able to clean and air their panties well. Yeah. And they should go to the hospital in case of any infection. Yeah. So what we've been discovering lately, that so many girls are suffering in silence. You know, girls don't talk about the problems that they have on their private parts, because when they talk, people judge them. So most of them decide to keep quiet. And now you can imagine, especially if a girl with infections is on her menses, it's total madness. They cannot concentrate in class, they cannot sit down, it's madness. So we try as much as possible to encourage girls to go for help. Another challenge with especially the fungal infections is that it's not that PAP treatment. It requires so much. It requires like a changing of the entire, you know, the panties, and then the medicine and everything. So it's like somehow a long-term treatment, and at times the girls are not able to afford that. And that is where a girl must talk to her mom or to someone very close to her. Otherwise it can be a very, very serious problem. It can last for a long time and can be very disturbing.
All right, and the World Health Organization has put a standard that if the health of adolescent girls is not seriously taken care of, then nations will not be able to achieve UHC. Maybe you can help us link the two, you know, the health of adolescent girls and universal health coverage for nations.
The thing is, you know, this is something that is preventable and it's manageable. So if the girls are able to get the right information in time, and if the health facilities are friendly to them, then they are able to live their free life. But now if we still judge the girls, if we don't give the girls the space to be able to express themselves, especially on issues that affect their private parts, then it means that we're still going to get girls who are suffering. Yeah, so it starts with conversation, and it also starts with very friendly services, especially in the facilities. You know, most of our health personnel are still very, you know, not very polite, especially to the girls, because people are always suspecting them. The moment a girl walks into the hospital, then they're like, okay, maybe it's a sexual related thing. So most of them decide to stay away, even when they're having very mild programs. But if we are able to create good awareness, if we are able to pass information well, then this is something that we are able to manage very easily. It doesn't even have to get to the medicine stage. because it's all about hygiene.
So Akinyi, what has helped you now come out and become bold and talk about all these issues? Did you learn it in school, or what exactly happened for you to change your perspective and stop, you know, running away from people and in your messes, stop hiding yourself when you're trying to physically grow up, you know? Where did you get the education and information about adolescent health and, of course, the changes that happen in the body of a girl?
I schooled
Yeah.
primary school in Saya County, and from class 1 to form 2.
Yeah.
And you know, in our country, people don't really talk about these issues of sexual reproductive health or menstruation. So it's like they were just talking, but not that much. And later on, I came to Nairobi, and you know, I have to change my life because I'm from up country, and now I'm in Nairobi, and things must change.
Yeah.
So when I came to Nairobi, I joined another high school in Kibra, that is Raila Educational Center, and it is in Kibra, and you have to talk in that school, a mixed school, that if you keep quiet, you know, just people just now look after, or just they will just look at you or just say, what is wrong with this girl?
Yeah.
So from there, I joined my friends. I just started having some friends, and I just see what they're doing. So at least I cope up, but not that much up to form 4.
Yeah.
And the good part of it is I was the captain of my school, the games captain of my school. So from there I was like, when it's my duty, I have to go on the parade and talk, but I was still afraid. So I didn't have that, I can't express myself better because I can see all the teachers are there, the boys are there. So I just, good morning school, my name is Hilda and I'm on the one on duty. And even the deputy was like, they were just saying that, yes, she's good in football, but now the confidence is not that good. So I had to cope up, and later on, after my high school, I joined an organization called Garden of Hope Foundation. It's also in Kibera. And that is where I started building my confidence, because that where you will, in that organization, you take a 3-month course. That is leadership, entrepreneurship, and computer. So from leadership, I really loved that course because they take you how you can take care of yourself, if you want to be a leader. So that's where I started developing my confidence.
All right.
And from there, after the 3-month course, and we had a small graduation, after graduating, and then I joined POLYCOM development project. And from there, I started, you know, in POLYCOM you work with girls, and there you can't be shy, because the girls, they just look at you and they will ask you any question. So that is where I started. At least now my confidence is a little bit high, and now I can start speaking and just sharing my story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Before I speak with you, Yvonne, maybe Jen, you can tell us some of the, because you work with girls, some of the programs that you feel should be implemented to just help girls who are not able to speak out about some of these issues that we've talked about. And then you're also part of the people convening, let me say, the ICPD 25 conference, and of course there is the issue of reproductive health rights. Do we have some of the issues that will be addressing rights of adolescent girls?
Yeah, so the main program we have at POLYCOM is, we call it the talking box. So talking box, we have these locked up boxes installed in schools. And the girls show us where to place the box, the space that they think is very comfortable for them. And they write whatever they want to share and put in the boxes. So to us, the fact that they are able to write, that is the first step towards sharing. And then we have the content response sessions. We have SRH sessions where they now talk with the mentors, 20 girls to one mentor, and they're able to talk about anything. And our strategy is that we don't lecture the girls. They give us information. We pick a topic, they give us information, and we only bridge the gap because they have a lot of information already. So yes, we're going into ICPD, and this is 25 years after the initial one, which took place in Cairo. So this one is very powerful, very symbolic. As an organization, we are looking at two focus areas. We are looking at education, girls' education, and we're also looking at the sexual reproductive health and rights. So we are in education, what we are talking about is like girls should access education. We should not have limitations as far as education is concerned. Where we are as a country right now, we are talking about 350 and above. Without 350 and above, according to, can I say Kenya, sorry to use the word, the girl should just go home, or the student should just go home. So what we're saying is that we should have universal education for all our children if we want to talk about progress.
Yeah.
And then on sexual and reproductive health, we are especially on issues around menses. Let us have education. Let us have accessible sanitary towels and hygienic ones, because we have had a lot of conversations. In the recent past, we've been talking about a brand that makes people itch. So you can imagine if it's a young girl who is using it and they cannot talk about these challenges, what are they really going through? So we have talked about sanitary towels in this country before. We have talked about removing taxes. We have talked about free sanitary towels, that we are yet to reach all our girls.
Yeah.
So if we are able to have, things like condoms for free, sex is a choice. Menses, this is a simple biological process. And we're also not empowered enough to take this to be normal. Remember what happened the other day when a girl committed suicide just because she was mocked because of her periods. So how empowered are we as a society?
Right.
How informed are people, the duty bearers, people who are working directly with the girls? So these are the conversations that as an organization we have been having. We started our conversations early this month. We had a big event in Kibera on the 4th, on the 5th. Today we were part of the march. The girls are part of a girls training forum right now in collaboration with Femnet, and we are going into ICPD really prepared as organizations from the informal settlement.
All right, we have to wind up. Time is not on our side.
Thank you.
Are you shocked? Are you shocked, Yvonne? We have to wind up. Did you want to say anything as you wind up?
Oh, no.
You're fine? All right, thank you so much, Yvonne. Thank you so much, Akinyi. Thank you, Jen, for this wonderful conversation. Of course, we're looking forward to having more of this.
Thank you so much, and Karibu ICPD.
Yes, we are much coming, actually. Thank you all for watching Family Matters this night. My name is Purity Museo. Do enjoy your lovely, or have yourself a lovely night, and of course enjoy the rest of our programming.